Friday, everybody, and welcome to Fly Nubian Money, where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money. Today, we are tackling a serious conversation, one that affects public health, race, and trust in the medical system. So, Senator Angela Alsobrooks called out Robert F. Kennedy Jr. for his statement suggesting that Black people shouldn't follow the same vaccine schedule as white people because our immune systems are supposedly, quote, better. Now, this claim has been widely criticized, and we're here to break it down. Where did this idea come from? What does the science actually say? And how do statements like this impact the Black community's trust in medicine? So, we're going to get into it. So, make sure that you're locked in. Listen, we do not talk at you, we talk with you. So we truly would love to hear your comments as well. So keep them coming. But I am joined by my royal panel today, my royal court, Joe Corley, licensed therapist, mental wellness coach, and educator, Marlo Layson, TV and film producer, Erica, author Faith in Transition, and Moya, our tax professional. Now, we got a bunch of people here today that we all have great conversation pieces to talk about. Now, there is a lot that we are going to try to get into, but before we actually dig into what happened on the Hill, I want to know if each of you take vaccines. How do you feel about them? Did you do the COVID-19? I'll start with me. I did the COVID-19. I am not against vaccines at all. However, the one, you're supposed to have two parts to the shingles. And I did the first shingles when I turned 50, and I got so sick that I didn't do the second one. I just couldn't do it. I don't think I've ever been that sick in my life. So, but that's a common thing, and I'm probably going to have to go back and start it all over again. So, Joe, how do you feel about vaccines for you and your family? Did you take the 19?
I took the first one when I thought it was mandatory, but that was it. I didn't take the second one, but my family did take it. So yeah, they did.
Any adverse effects?
No, not that we noticed, but I think, like I said, we really thought it was mandatory at the time. I don't know if I would have made the same decision today, but at the time we definitely took them, I'll be honest.
Right, right. How about you, Moya?
So yeah, I think vaccines are really, really important. I know with my kids and we were hesitant on doing the scheduled vaccinations just because of what we heard. So, but once again, that's us and what we decided.
Right. How about you, Marlo?
I've been immunized. My kids, I have had the COVID shot. It was a family choice because we had an elder and the person that was their caretaker. That's what they wanted. And so in order for us to be able to see her before she passed, she did pass about a year ago from old age. But for us to get that last interaction, we did what was required by the person who was responsible for her care to make sure we had those last moments. But yeah, I'm not a flu vaxxer though. I'm not a flu vaxxer.
Gotcha. How about you, Erica?
Well, I've been immunized as a child. I was, but my case is a little different. When COVID happened, I worked on ships. I told you guys that I worked on ships for 3 years. I was a cruise director, and I had just come from Brazil, and I had taken yellow fever vaccine. So by the time I got home, my doctor did advise me. He didn't know what the interaction would be because I had just had a yellow fever. So I did not take the COVID vaccine because of that. When I was looking to go back to ships, I don't know if a lot of people knew, but internationally, the COVID vaccines were completely different. And I didn't want to end up having to um, get a contract where I'd have to be in, let's say, Copenhagen and have to take their vaccine because that's where I was boarding the ship and then having to take the vaccine here. So I just kind of pulled back a little bit to wait and see how my body would respond to what all the other vaccines I had because of travel. So no, I never took it.
Yeah, that is a life of many. Definitely, my husband used to do cruise ships as well, so I get it. I totally get it. Let's see what some of our viewership is saying. Drea says we shouldn't be taking no man's poison. We have natural immunity and herbal remedies. He is correct, but must release decades of hidden research to back it up and silence the predictable backlash. Now, Coco said, me myself, I never had COVID, but I took the shot. Um, and then we have people saying, hello, hello, everybody, we love you. Brian says, melanated people have superior genetics. Manifested Genius says, our bodies are different than whites and any other group of people. Where's your science behind that, Manifested? Throw it up. If you guys are gonna put bold statements out there, back it up. Back it up. We'll take it. Go on and put it in there. Don't just be throwing out stuff and then now backing it up, because we're gonna back up what we talk about today. So listen, we got across the board. I think it's good that we have a debatable subject today. But we are going to get into it because it is a little deeper than just this. Okay. So all right, let's check out what went on the Hill yesterday with RFK.
You said the following, and I quote, "We should not be giving Black people the same vaccine schedule that's given to whites because their immune system is better than ours." Can you please explain what you meant?
There's a series of studies, I think most of them by Poland, that show that to particular antigens that Blacks have a much stronger reaction. There's differences in reaction to different products by different races.
So I have 17 seconds left. Let me just ask you then. So what different vaccine schedule would you say I should have received? What different vaccine schedule should I have received?
I mean, the Poland article suggests that Blacks need fewer antigens than
this is so dangerous.
You get the same measles vaccine.
Mr. Kennedy, with all due respect, that is so dangerous. Your voice would be a voice that parents would listen to. That is so dangerous. I will be voting against your nomination because your views are dangerous to our state and to our country.
She made it plain. But let me give you just a tad bit of history before we move forward, because I said we were going to come with facts, right? All right. So I have dug into this quite a bit. This is something that is very interesting to me. So I want you to understand that this myth that Blacks are different, that we are superior, or we have thicker bones, thicker skulls, thicker everything, came from an 1863 study. And it was Dr. Theodore Watts who published a book called Anthropology, saying the Negro had heavier bones. And those false beliefs about us have been perpetrated ever since. It has affected us with C-sections, lung functions, high blood pressure, you name it, we got it, because they feel, or what he said was that we are built differently and therefore stronger. So this is where it actually stems from, because that was supposed to be an official report and it has never changed. And High Vibe is right. Higher pain tolerance. Many of our women are not treated the same as white women in childbirth and any kind of other pain resistant thing, because they think that we can tolerate more. So I wanted to give you a little bit of history before we moved forward. But now I want to ask you, and I'm going to start with you, Erica. Do you think vaccine hesitancy in the Black community is justified?
Sorry about that. I couldn't turn off my microphone. I'm like, can you repeat the question? I had a panic attack.
Yes. Do you think that vaccine hesitancy in the Black community is justified?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because we've seen it with the story of Henrietta Lacks. We've seen it. We rush to the doctor and, they want you to keep coming back, keep coming back. I'll tell you a story. When I was working on ships, I needed to renew my physical. There's a special physical that you have to take to be on ships, and it has to be done every 2 years. And I found a doctor in Jersey that would do it. I get there and she's like, oh, well, you're 40. I think at the time I was 47. And she says, oh, well, you're not on any medications? You're not this, you're not that. You are overweight though. We need to control that. Hey, maybe we could do a GYN visit while you're here because I can't believe there's nothing wrong with you. This woman was so adamant about me being having something wrong with me that I couldn't be a 47-year-old Black woman and not have diabetes and not have high blood pressure. It was driving her crazy. She took 4 tubes of blood, which is normal for a CBC count, which is normal. And then she says, well, I think I want to go back in and take more blood. You ain't getting nothing else. You're going to use what you got, and you took enough out of each tube where you can recycle stuff. You ain't get nothing else from me. We have a right to be afraid of going to these medical facilities. And on top of it, when we walk into a doctor's office, very rarely do we see anyone that looks like us, even if they are from the diaspora. We are not looking at people that look like us. Everyone is from everywhere else, and they can't seem to understand how we're so healthy. How are you still standing and you're not on medication and you don't have this problem and you don't have that problem? So yeah, we do have a right to be concerned because it is concerning.
I believe so too. And we have the ultimate thing is we always have to take into account our own bodies. We are stewards of our own bodies. That is something that we have to take into account. But I also feel that we need to be good stewards of our communities as well. And with that, I'm going to take a short break. We will be right back.
Hey, if you're just tuning in, you are watching Fly Nubian Money, where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money. I am Tierra Williams. I'm also known as Miss Black Hollywood, and I am the proud producer of this show. So I hope that every day when you join us, you leave a little smarter than you came, because that's the point. Otherwise, why are you watching? So if you want to receive notices for when we go live, Fly Nubian Money goes live every single day. That's Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you don't know, now you know. All you have to do is text the word Queens. That's Queens. That's Queens to 87948. That's 87948. That's Queens to 87948. Yes. If you want.
Yes. And if you don't know, now you know. So easy. Come on, text the word Queens, Queens to 87948. Yes. That way you won't miss any shows because we do go live every day of the week, Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you might get busy. Maybe you go for another cup of coffee and then you're like, oh no, I missed the show. Well, you won't if you get the text. I don't even get the text and I'm on the show. So make sure that you text the word Queens to 87948. Now, listen, I want to make sure that we get a lot of comments as well that from our viewership because it's really interesting how we definitely have different views. Ray Coleman said, yes, it's justified due to the fact of the Tuskegee 626 experiment and how they were sterilizing Black women without their awareness of it. Yes. So I want to pull up a slide that discusses this. We have had things in our history that causes us to take pause. That, and it's coupled with the fact that, we have these 1863 reports. I think there's a lot of misinformation out there. So historical medical mistrust is deeply rooted from the Tuskegee experiment to forced sterilizations. Historical abuses have made Black Americans more skeptical of medical recommendations. Guys, this is something real. This is something very serious. Now, Erica brought up Henrietta Lacks. Now, she didn't get the treatment that she should have been getting because they was too busy taking her cells to save everybody else while letting her die. If you don't know that story, you need to write it down and look it up and read the book. It's very valuable. So, Joe, what role do you think medical racism has played in Black people's trust in healthcare?
I think it's caused the distrust, even for me as a therapist. You know, I don't have anything to do with medical, but I know that, you know, a lot of people distrust even what I'm doing. I ain't going in there and telling all my business, you know, because so you can go back and tell them people, you know, everything that I did. So it's like that, you know, and for me, I mean, personally, you talking to somebody whose mother died in 1996 because of negligence. You know, she went in there as a black woman with an aneurysm in her brain and they released her, told her she was having headaches. It was very preventable. She could be alive today if not for that type of nonsense. So I personally, I can't even watch TV shows where doctors are like guessing or the intern is messing up. I get frustrated even looking at that because they're just in there, you know, using us to learn. They're
Yeah,
using us to learn. We get
yeah.
interns.
We get to be the guinea pigs all
Yeah,
the
this
time.
happens. This is real life. This happens.
Yes, it does, and we have proof of it. So, so Ray Coleman says, even though I don't do vaccines, Black people should have the option. No one has a right to tell you how to risk your life. And let's be honest, bodies are different. I mean, but not according to race. And though, I mean, we're all human, right? But bodies are also different. Like, I'm allergic to nickel, like there's just certain little things like that can throw you off, where if I did do a vaccine that wasn't nickel friendly, I could get very, very sick. So, where do we draw the line? So Moya, how does misinformation impact vaccine confidence?
Yes. So misinformation, I feel, does impact the confidence of people, but I think we also have to understand, where's the misinformation coming from? Because it really can affect how we conduct ourselves and where we decide to trust and who we decide to trust. Because Joe brings up a good point. If we're not even able to trust someone that looks like us, then what are we supposed to do? Because we have to seek help, whether it's medical, psychological, emotional. Like, we have to have a place. And so we have to be able to go somewhere.
We do. And here's what's interesting. Remember how we said, it is your choice, but there was also a lot of backlash from the public if you didn't get the COVID-19. So I'm referring to COVID-19 right now. Canadian Bro says, I never took that jab. I was not allowed to work. Everybody was mad at me at first, but 3 years later, everyone is saying you were 100% right. Now, everyone in my job asks me questions about health. And it's a personal decision for sure. But, Marlo, should we be forced to do what the government is telling us to do, knowing the history of the government being so not truthful? I'm trying to be careful with my words. But you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think that we should be forced to do anything, because your health is part of your personal autonomy, right? I think that there is something to be said about protecting your neighbors, right? And that's supposed to be the purpose of the vaccines. But again, it's still a personal choice. I think that part of why the government had a hard time selling the COVID-19 vaccine is that we all were sitting inside and everybody was getting access to what they did to the Blacks, what they did to Native Americans, how Black people's bodies have been studied, how Henrietta Lacks's cells were stolen, right? Everybody had an opportunity to really delve into this information that a lot of people outside of Black circles did not know prior. So I think, no, we shouldn't be forced. I think we should educate ourselves more, especially in terms of medical history with Black people, right? And how we're treated differently, how they think we're impervious to pain. So our pain tolerance has to be through the roof for them to even take it seriously. It's a dirty game out here. But somebody in the comments, I think it was GMB Health, said, about Kennedy's own personal health, right? We're sitting here debating a man who says that he has a worm in his brain eating it alive, right? So the fact that we're even debating a person who says an amoeba is eating his gray matter, and he is going to be in charge of making medical decisions on behalf of the country, is just part of the circus, right? The circus will never not come to town, and it will never not have a clown to entertain you. And I think this man struggles. I don't know, is the worm eating his vocal cords? I don't know, but this is not a man who gives me healthy vibe. So why the audacity of white men, right, to even think that you are in the right space at the right time? Sir, go take care of your own personal health instead of trying to be the health secretary for all of the people that don't have brain-eating amoebas.
I absolutely agree with that. And I think that's what the main concern is. Now, you had a lot of people who didn't trust Fauci, but Fauci also had been in that position for many, many years. It wasn't until until the last or previous administration decided to question him because he wasn't going the way that they wanted him to go. And there was a constant battle. And I don't believe that our leaders who are handling these things should be intimidated by those who want things to go their way. They're there to be experts, but not conspiracy theorists. So that's where I have a serious problem with how we're handling this whole thing. And yes, he has had RFK has said things like this, and he is a firm believer in all this stuff. To me, that is not the person that needs to be taking care of America's health. Period. But we're going to take a quick break, and we'll get right back into it. We have more great information coming. Keep the comments coming, family. We love them.
Hey, if you want to grow your money and not blow your money, as Constance says, check us out at flynubianmoney.com. There's all kinds of resources, programs, videos, resources. In 2024, there's no reason to be broke when there's information all around us. So get your money right. flynubianmoney.com.
That's what we're here about. Do you not remember our name? Our name is Fly Nubian Money. We talk about a lot of things here, but one of the things that we always want you to take away from these shows is to understand that you do not have to be in a financial bind. You can pull your financial house together very easily. And a lot of people say, I don't even know where to start. Well, listen, we got a place for you to start. And all you have to do is go to flynubianmoney.com. We have a lot of resources for you. So if you don't know where you are, at least it will put you in a frame of mind of going, maybe I do have a starting point so that we can get you to the goal. So after the show, because we're in the thick of it today, into the thick of it, we are going to be letting you go on over there and get those resources so that you can get your house in order. We have another video that I would like to show, and this is the one from the Hill. Again, some more of the Hill of grilling RFK Jr. And let's see how this one went.
I'm asking about fees from suing drug companies. Will you agree not to do that?
You're asking me to not sue drug companies,
No,
and I'm not going to agree to that,
drug
Senator.
companies as much as you want.
I'm not going to agree to not sue drug companies or anybody.
So let's do a quick count here of how, as Secretary of HHS, if you get confirmed, you could influence every one of those lawsuits. Well, let me start the list. You could publish your anti-vaccine conspiracies, but this time on U.S. government letterhead, something a jury might be impressed by. You could appoint people to the CDC vaccine panel who share your anti-vax views and let them do your dirty work. You could tell the CDC vaccine panel to remove a particular vaccine from the vaccine schedule. You could remove vaccines from special compensation programs, which would open up manufacturers to mass torts. You could make more injuries eligible for compensation, even if there is no causal evidence. You could change vaccine court processes to make it easier to bring junk lawsuits. You could turn over FDA data to your friends at the law firm, and they could use it however it benefited them. You could change vaccine labeling. You could change vaccine information rules. You could change claims are compensated in the vaccine injury compensation program. There's a lot of ways that you can influence those future lawsuits and pending lawsuits while you are Secretary of HHS. And I'm asking you to commit right now that you will not take a financial stake in every one of those lawsuits so that what you do as Secretary will also benefit you financially down the line.
I'll comply with all the ethical guidelines.
That's not the question. You and I, you have said
You're asking me, Senator, you're asking me not to sue vaccine pharmaceutical companies. Yeah, you are. That's exactly what you're doing.
Look, no one should be fooled here.
Now, there's a lot to unpack with that. First of all, Warren never gets that upset. Okay. She will get stern, but she has I've never seen her get that angry. And I think that she is right in the underlying basis of why he wants this position. But then again, I don't think he's the only politician up in Washington who has alternative motives on both sides. Okay, I have always said, if you want to get rich, you need to watch what they're doing up in Washington. Okay, so she is grilling him on the fact that, you know, he could become more financially improved with this position, and she doesn't want that. But with his theories, Erica, do you think, what do you think the danger of spreading these race-based theories is causing our communities?
You know, we're looking and staring down at the possibility of a race war is what could typically happen. That is what we are facing. That is what we are staring down. And it's just going to get to a point where it's going to be every man for himself. If we are placed as, oh, blacks are superior in body, so if someone's afraid of you, what are they going to do? They're going to start doing, they're going to wipe you out. You know what I mean? So, you know, planting that seed that now we're the big, you know, we're the big bad bodies of the planet. You know, you want to get rid of your enemy. And I think that is a subtle seed that's being planted, and we've just got to be ready. But I really think a race war is looming, and it is frightening. Very, very frightening.
It is, because immediately things were put into place to separate us.
Hmm. Yeah,
Immediately. I think we all agree on that on this panel, that we definitely
yeah.
know that. But Joe, I want to ask you, do you think that this man has the experience to even head up this department at all?
I don't know. I don't know. Never heard of him. I didn't even know Robert F. Kennedy had a son until now. I didn't know. I see a lot of. I'm learning in the chat, like everybody. I'm seeing all the information coming from the chat. Like, dang, okay, I guess everybody knew about this dude but me. But I take this position, Lala. If he is affiliated with Donald Trump, I don't trust him. He might be totally legit. I don't know. But if he's affiliated with Donald Trump, I don't trust him. If anybody want to blame me for that, you can go ahead.
All right. Well, Brian Shanklin says, stop fear mongering. There's going to be no race war. Are you living on Jupiter, my friend?
Okay.
Are you
Yeah,
living on Jupiter?
I'd like to know where he is. So I'd like to go. Maybe we can pack a bag. Maybe we can do a group trip and go visit. See what it's
Maybe,
like.
maybe we need to take that spaceship, right?
Because
All right.
honestly, I think honestly, when we say a race war, it does, you're thinking physical, but you have to also consider the mind. I mean, redlining is a thing. It could get even heavier. Our children could go missing. Let's think back to the 80s. I just saw a documentary in the 80s where women were birthing their children, and some women had twins or triplets, and they only went home with one kid because they told them that the other one or two were dead. That's a race war, because those children that were dead, no, those children were used for science projects to get this data that we're talking about today. So a race war, yeah, it's a race war of the mind. Of the mind. You can kill somebody in the mind before you kill them physically. Once you kill the mind, the rest of the body goes.
And we behind
Exactly. And
enemy
they
lines.
know it. Yes.
I said, and we behind enemy lines. Erica, 100%
Yes.
right, and we behind enemy lines.
Yes, I agree. We all have targets on our back right now, and that's been made very clear. What day is this, y'all? 11? And we can't even breathe. I feel like we've been living for 40 years already, and January ain't even done. We still got a few more hours on this day. What the hell else is coming? I don't know. So, Moya, do you think Black people's health outcomes would improve with different vaccine schedule? Do you agree with that?
So I would have to do way more research on vaccines, because I don't agree with what they've put out there in regards to vaccines. So I would have to do more research on that. I do want to say though that pediatrics, they have a magazine, an article where they do research, and they did conduct research. There's an article that they did back in 2006 stating that when they looked at life in terms of survival for infants under 1, they found that Black female babies had a 2-in-1 chance of surviving over white male babies. So when it comes to the strength of Black people, it is there. We are genetically stronger. Now, I do want to highlight what Erica said in the sense of this mental warfare that's going on, because what's happening is it's, if we are in terms of genetically superior, what they are really coming after, as she stated, is our mind and our wherewithal in terms of us being in position to truly advocate for ourselves. And that's what we're seeing here with the health, and also, we're not talking about economics, but definitely really economics. So I think it's really important that we understand that this is a level of warfare happening.
It is, and it's on a different platform. When people think of war, I love how you said, Erica, when you think of war, you're thinking physical, but baby, there's so many other ways of war. It's mind, body, and spirit war. There's a war of wearing you down with so many things while they get their agenda put together. You can't keep up. There is a war everywhere, and it's swirling around you like a tornado. And what makes it hard is you can't concentrate on one when there are so many swirling around you, and that is the game plan. So let's look at some stats, y'all, because we don't like to just throw things out there without backing up some stuff. A 2016 study found that 50% of white medical students believed Black people have a higher pain tolerance, leading to misdiagnosis and undertreatment. Now, we touched on that earlier. The CDC data shows that Black children are less likely than white children to be fully vaccinated by age 2, largely due to, we throwing a wheel in the cog, healthcare access issues, which are now being pulled back immediately. So our babies are not getting what they need, okay? Historical medical mistrust is deeply rooted. We did talk about this, but I am going to say it again because I think y'all really need to understand that we have proof of these things. Historical medical mistrust is deeply rooted, from the Tuskegee experiment to forced sterilizations. Historical abuses have been made with Black Americans more, and it have made them more skeptical of medical recommendations. Now, listen to this one. A 2021 Kaiser Family Foundation study found that only 53% of Black adults trust that doctors act in their best interest, compared to 73% of white adults. That's pretty low, y'all. That's pretty low. Now, I want to give you something else that I found out in my research of this topic before we move on. There was a mother. It was a Black child. The mother was white. She was a stepmother. The birth mother had passed away and the man remarried. Okay. She was really concerned about her daughter, and she felt like she was like, she's 8. Is she going through puberty right now? She's developing too early or whatever. And she goes in and she said, something just isn't right. It just doesn't feel right to me. And she went to one doctor, and the doctor said, oh, Black and Latina girls develop early anyway. It's nothing to be concerned about. And they sent them home. This mother kept getting nagged and nagged and nagged in her spirit. So she went to the second doctor. The second doctor told her the same thing. She said, I am not giving up. Something is not right, and I feel it in my bones. Thank goodness for spiritual touching, right? She went to the third doctor, and there was something seriously wrong with that girl's thyroid, and they had to get that together, and her pituitary gland. And it took 3 tries, whereas both the doctors before that literally said to her that Black and Latina young females develop earlier, and there is nothing to worry about. I think that's pretty.
You know what's amazing with that for me is is unfortunately, if something had happened to that young child, if she had transitioned, they would have been ready to do all kinds of autopsies to find out this, and maybe use those cells for a vaccine so it doesn't happen. And this is for the young girls in the Latina and African communities. It's wild. You have to advocate for yourself. You have to have your doctor watching your doctor watching your doctor watching your doctor. You got to get a primary that you trust. Once you get that primary that you trust, that primary is going to look over all of those other doctors. If the podiatrist gives you something, I want my primary to look at it. If the cardiologist gives me something, I want my primary to look at it. All of them have to be held accountable, because the way these doctors' offices are popping up and shutting down, it's getting crazy. I mean, you can go on Amazon now and get a doctor's appointment. Is that an AI doctor, or is it a real person sitting there? You can get your prescriptions filled through Amazon. It's like, who's writing a prescription? It's getting scary. It's really
Big
getting scary.
pharma, big pharma in all of their pockets. But we're going to dig in some more, y'all. Keep the comments coming because we got more to say on this topic. We're going to take a short break. I need some water. Shoot, this is hot. We'll be right back.
Fly Nubian Money is now on Spotify. Yes. We are on Spotify. So if you can't watch us, you can listen to us. All you have to do is search Fly Nubian Money and we will appear. All of our episodes. Make sure that you leave a 5-star rating and reviews so other people that come along and are looking for a good show to watch, they'll follow us too. If you are interested in being on Fly Nubian Money, sorry, I don't have any spaces. I'm just playing. If you are interested in being a queen or a king on Fly Nubian Money for the day, please reach out to me. I'm at info@realvirtual.net. That's info@realvirtual.net. Also, if you need help with your business, go ahead and send me an email for that too. Okay. I've said enough. Now back to the show.
Did you know that we have a magical email address? We do. It has sprinkles all over it. And we do a lot with that email address. First of all, if you wanted to come on here and have a debate and talk with us about a topic that we have, you can just email us at info@realvirtual.net, right? Now, also, we know that, you may not be able to watch us when we're live all the time because you may be busy, right? You may be like, oh my God, this is during the work day because it is 1 p.m. After the lunch, you might have the itis. I don't know. You might miss them. But then again, you're like, I got to get this work done. And I don't know how to get it all done in a day. Guess what? Sprinkle. Just email us, info@realvirtual.net, and we can help you with your business. It's called delegation. Take some of those things off of your plate so that you too can experience a little more happiness in your body, spirit, and mind too. Because let's face it, when you're stressed with so much work, it just falls over into the rest of the day. So why don't you let us help you out in that respect? info@realvirtual.net. Now, Marlo, I want to ask you, because you do, you're a news person, you get all this information. A lot of times you get it before we do. But how do we separate fact from fiction in medical debates?
It's difficult, right? Because if you look at medical journal research is available. You can look it up. But you got to make sure you're looking at the most recent, stuff that makes sense. Now, I won't even say peer review, right? But cross-reference. So if you look at Harvard, I'm constantly looking at Harvard, the Mayo Clinic, Howard University Medical Center, just different avenues to get different perspectives, right? I was reading a study, I wrote an article about drapetomania and how ridiculous that idea is. That's the idea that Black people act out because we don't want to be confined. Go figure. So I was reading about drapetomania, and it was actually a doctor who studied in Louisiana here at LSU. And he taught that. And it made me think how many doctors I've come across that studied at LSU, that studied at Tulane University. If you're in Louisiana, 9 times out of 10, you've been treated by somebody that went to one of those two schools. And the idea that you are giving them your information, they automatically don't believe you. Like one thing I was reading said that white doctors prefer white patients because they believe that they will take the advice, right? But knowing that a Black person has to go to 3 doctors to get the most bare bones, basic ass diagnosis to get them on a healthy track is why there's that imbalance between the doctor and the patient experience, depending on who the patient is. Listen, do your research. Not YouTube, y'all. Ain't nothing wrong with YouTube, right? If it's a nurse, if it's a doctor that's giving information, use a reputable source. Not your friend that grows the good herbs in the back. They hardly get a sniffle. Maybe they're just a naturally healthy person and they're boosting their immune system with the things that they're eating. If you're not doing that, that's not the person to get the advice from. Always look to reputable sources for information, multiple sources for information. I do want to say, in terms of what Erica was saying about the AI doctor, even the AI doctor is going to be biased, right? Because AI gets its information from us. Before AI is asked a question by a human, it's given a study from a medical center. It's given a book from a medical center. It's going back and looking at old medical references. So we, even as we are looking at maybe not dealing with a human doctor and going to an AI doctor, still got to do your research, because you still gonna run into biases, because people are still teaching this junk science about Black people.
Yes, and it will continue. And I hate to say it, y'all, and y'all can debate me if you want to. And that's what we're here for. It's only going to get worse, because we are being looked at as inferior again. DEI, they've taken everything that they can to throw at us to make people think that we are different, like we're not capable, we're not smart enough, we can't do the job, we're not up for the task, when there's simply no proof, when we all know on this panel we have to be 5 times better at anything that we do in order to even get a foothold in somebody's business. Now, Baby Love says we all have to be careful when we go see a doctor. Some doctors are racist and do not care about patients of color. Yes, I have experience with that as well. And then we have an actual nurse here. She's a retired nurse. Cheryl Peters says, I have heard of different dosing of some meds for Asian patients. So guys, if it ain't white, it ain't right, is what I'm hearing all the time. Isn't that an old phrase that still lives true for today? But let's actually look at some of what the people are saying on these internet streets, right? What is it on Beyonce's internet? Let's look and see what some people are saying, because it's all over the board. Be Haiti Beautiful. Please look up the Tuskegee experiment and actually read it, and you'll know why that's dangerous. Talking about the statement that he said that Blacks should get different vaccines schedules than whites. Mind the Gap says, when people say Blacks like that, that brings the question, right? I'm not even going to pretend to say that name because I already say it enough and I don't want to get spanked. His whole cabinet and candidates seem like they may be inbred. Trisha said, well, the same vaccines they give our babies are not meant for our Black African sons. And there's documentation stating that it causes issues for our sons. Okay, well, you know how I say it. Back it up, back it up. Anna Rod, if she would have allowed him to explain, she would know he's actually right. Also, remember, guys, they only have a certain amount of time to get questions. And when people stutter and waste time, they want you to move on. Vanilla says, please don't confirm this person. He's not a good candidate for this position. Agreed. Now, his own family, actually, y'all, if y'all haven't heard of the Kennedy family, I don't know where you've been under a rock. You need to look at the Kennedy family, and he is a part of that. But his own family, his cousins that have grown up with him, have literally come out against him. So that brings me very serious concern as well. So, Joe, I would like to know what you think. How can public health experts repair the trust with Black communities when we already ain't even got the trust? Where they need to start?
Impossible.
What's that little boy in the Little Rascals? Impossible.
It's not
Why
possible.
do you think so?
I see a lot of people in the chat saying what the real. I mean, it's we're gonna have to do it ourselves. It's always gonna be ourselves, man. We're gonna have to eat better. We're gonna have to exercise, and I mean, this is like, I know we're tired of saying these same things over and over again, but that's really what we're gonna have to do. We're gonna have to heal ourselves. We're gonna have to eliminate sugar from our diets. We got to get rid of some of this processed stuff. We have to do it. It's the only way to heal our bodies, man. And people are actually doing that. I mean, people are doing this, and it's changing things around for them. Like, it's real. It is real. But I mean, it's a huge sacrifice, and it's going to take some fasting and just a lot of different, whatever methods you use to convince yourself that you don't need the things that you think you need in order to extend your life and live healthier.
Agreed. And I am a living, walking witness to that. When I was 285 pounds, I was pre-diabetic. The minute that I took control of my health and I started eating right, being very careful, exercising, got the weight off, it was gone. So yes, you can do things to keep yourself healthier. Maybe not go to Popeye so much when that sandwich comes out. Okay, there's a way to balance and still take care of your body, right?
Right.
So Moya, do you think, and what do you think that the Black community should demand better accountability for our communities?
Yeah. Can you demand better accountability for our communities? What does that mean exactly? Like, from
that's
who?
what I want to know from you. What does that look like? What does it look like for us to unify to get on the right path to let our our representatives know and to do better in our neighborhoods?
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I do. I think it's important that we do that. I still think I want to piggyback off what Joe was saying and also what Marla was touching upon. I think it's important that we also, when we're going in either for a routine checkup or they're suggesting some sort of surgery, I think it's important that we do research. And also, you want to also research the different doctors within it, because when you go in and you might name drop someone in terms of like, oh, so I know Dr. So-and-so did this. Is this what you recommend? It automatically puts that doctor on alert. And so they're now paying more attention to you. Now they all of a sudden something comes up from the back of their mind that they want to suggest to you. So we just have to play a different type of game, because yes, there is what we have to do in terms of like just preventative. But once we're in that situation, then we need to know what can we do there and how do we carry ourselves. And once you come in, you might even come in with some paper and some information. Then they get up like, are they writing something? Are they taking notes? Like what? So I think we just have to play the game different so they start understanding who and what we can do.
Agree. Go ahead, Erica.
I'd like to piggyback off of that, because if we take note and we look and see how many hospitals in our communities have been closed down over the last 10, 15, 20 years, we need to start going to our grassroots politics, city council, and say, well, what are we doing to replace those hospitals that are being closed? You go into other suburban communities and there are care centers everywhere. You can just walk down the street to one. But in African American communities, where the Latino communities, you might have one, and you have like maybe 3 counties or 3 cities that have on one county road that have to share that. And then again, the people that are in there working, most of them are in there for a paycheck. So I think we need to start holding our city council accountable and say, hey, okay, you're closing these hospitals. Number one, why? They're funded. Number two, what are you replacing those with? And really start asking questions and standing there as a community, because they can lie to one of us, but they can't lie to all of us.
I'm glad you brought that up, Erica, because I am proud to say my hometown, Louisville, Kentucky, in the West End, it is our Black community, and they always get the worst of the worst. And they're doing their very best now just to get fresh vegetables. But when we got the right leadership in that area, she demanded with an idea, her simple idea. She got together with nurses and doctors, and guess what? Now we have the most brand new hospital. And now that is in the West End for the people who need it the most. And now she is tackling the groceries. So that is right. You must stay on these people. And it's not just let's go to Washington. No, you got to start local. Who is your local person that you need to do to get the changes that you need, right? That's a good place to start. Let's take a short break. We'll be right back.
Do you want to make $1 million this year? What? Was that a yes? Oh, then guess what? You're in for luck. My name is Vanessa Gopal. I am a successful entrepreneur and owner of Winter Remodeling, Inc., a general contracting firm. Over my career, we've procured millions of dollars for myself and for clients. And I partner now with the Fly Nubian Money Club, where I'm going to teach you some of the successful business strategies that I use that involve B2B, in-face networking, and also B2C. Because one thing I do know is if you don't sell, then your business will surely fail.
If you don't sell, your business will surely fail. Now listen, you know we got all these smart people here. You got all these people, all of us, we be rooting for you. We be rooting for you to win, because when you win, we all win, right? But we have actually put in a program that you really need to make sure that you get in on. And it is the Fly Nubian Money Club. Vanessa Gopal is our next queen up on the panel to teach you how to get your business thriving. And what did she say? She said, million. All right. So listen, you have her at our next session. You had Athena teaching you AI at the last session. You had Constance Carter teaching you how to get 7 figures. And then you had me, who taught you how to buy a house abroad and in the States. Now listen, get on in, because that'd be your own fault if you don't do it. It's a 30-day trial. So go to flynubianmoneyclub.com. All right, family. This has really been a very, very interesting conversation. And I think that we may not all have answer for everybody, but I think that we all have an answer in the fact that we know we must take care of our own selves first and really vet the people who are supposed to be over our health. And whether you like him or not, that's your personal choice. That man ain't for me. So we're going to start with final thoughts and where we can find you. And we're going to start with you, Moya.
So the thing about Robert Kennedy that I think is important is the position that he's going for. The past directors of HHS, they've had over 20 years of actual in office active government experience, which he doesn't have any of that. On top of the fact that the HHS has over $1.2 trillion that they have at their disposal. That's even more than the Pentagon. So that's a lot of money. That's a lot of responsibility for somebody that hasn't managed any group, any large size organization. So yeah, he would definitely not, he's not qualified in any way to run and have that position. It is tax season now. So if you ever have any questions, now you can go to www.moya.tax and or send me a DM at moya.business if you have any questions about your taxes this season.
Baby, it is tax season. Gremlins didn't want me to tell you that, but it is. And we've got the queen right here. So stop looking. She's right there. She told you how to reach her. www.moya.tax. Tax is in the email and the website. So don't forget to do that. Go follow her. She's got a wealth of information. She also has other things for you that I think you will find quite beneficial. So Marlo, what is your final thoughts and where can we find you?
My final thought is you are your and your family's best healthcare advocate. If you are obviously RFK, I don't even want to talk about him because obviously this man is not qualified. He needs a health and hospital system to take care of him in this moment. So I won't even talk about him. I'm going to talk about Black folks. We need to take care of ourselves. We need to be eating right. We need to be thinking right. We need to be our own advocate. We need to be researching. We need to be having conversations with our people about our health care. Talk about your symptoms with your friends and family. Talk about the treatment with your friends and family. We need to get back to being a community because that is when we thrived. When we were actively practicing community and togetherness is how we thrive. We share information. That is how we have thrived for centuries. The melanated specialness of your skin, it thrives because of information. Don't close out information. Don't let people sell you, my grandmother used to say, wolf cookies. I have no idea what wolf cookies is, but I'll never buy them because I've been taught not to. If you are looking for me, I'm Marlo Layson. I am a news writer. I write about everything from current events to politics. I create content under my name, Marlo Layson, or you can find me on Instagram. I'm Olram Marlo. That is my first name backward and forward with an underscore on the end. And I myself am on a health journey. That's why I can give you that advice. I can tell you since I've been on that journey, I am sleeping better. My mind is sharper. My skin a little glowy, girl. Somebody told me my collarbone was popping. I mean, listen, get your life out here through food. Feed your body better, and your body will give you what you want on the other end. And, you know, take care of community. I'm always going to tell us to take care of us because I love us. That's it from me.
And that's the first thing. We got to love us. Because if you don't love yourself, you can't love anybody else, including our community. So part of love is taking care of your body, mind, and spirit. Okay. All right, Erica, what are your final thoughts and where can we find you?
Final thoughts. You know, I worked in the wellness industry for 22 years. I actually just retired from wellness, thank God, because the industry kind of sucked. But what I will say is that when I was a fitness instructor some years ago, there was very rarely, I was, first of all, one of maybe two other African American fitness instructors. It just was unheard of. It just wasn't an industry that you would find Black women. It was a heavily male white dominated field. And it was really heartbreaking to see because, you know, there weren't that many of us in the industry. There weren't that many of us on the aerobic floor. There weren't that many of us taking care of our health. However, we were the ones that really needed it. And I would have women periodically come in and say, oh, it's so nice to see a woman that looks like me up there doing that. So, you know, get out there and walk. You know, you don't need an expensive gym membership. Gym memberships are getting out of control. They're overpriced and you're not getting services. I'm here to tell you, I've worked for many big box gyms and you're not going to get what you're paying for. So get out there and walk. It is the basic everything. Get out there and stretch. The first thing you did when you were born is you took breath and you stretched. Go back to basics. Go back to the first thing you did. Take a deep breath, stretch, reach down and touch your toes because the primary thing is that you want to be mobile. If you're not mobile, you can't exercise and you can't do anything else. Drink water. Drink plenty of water. You can never ever have too much water. Cut back on the sweets. Cut back on the alcohol. Even shave off some of that heavy meat. You know, get into leafy green vegetables and a lot of fruit. I'm telling you, your body will change and your sleep pattern will change. I'm Erica Lewis. I'm the author of Faith in Transition. You can find me on all socials at Miss Erica Renee and at faithandtransition.com.
Well said, and a lot of great nuggets there. So please make sure that you do follow Erica. She told you where to find her. That's your homework. Go do it. What do I say? Stock in chicken hawk, because we know what we're talking about. Joe, what is your final thoughts and where can we find you?
Yeah, short and sweet. Everything they said. You know what I mean? Like that thing that you think you need that you can't put down, that is a form of addiction. You know, like you really feel like you can't live without it. That's a form of addiction. And I mean, I don't mean to scare you or nothing like that. I just want you to know that you can actually, you know, be without. So, you know, if you need help talking through that, I'm here, realuconsulting.com. You know, smack them wolf cookies out your hand and, you know, get some self-control because that's, you know, your mind and your body are very much connected. And if you put poison into your body, your mind starts to follow and you start feeling bad about yourself and all those negative and intrusive thoughts are coming in. So all these things are connected. So take your time, start with one thing. You don't have to get rid of all of it at once. Start with one thing and then move on to the next thing until your mind and body are working well together. And then your collarbone be popping too, like Marlo. Like I said, Real You Consulting. You can find me at Joe Corley on all socials and on Tuesday nights on the podcast. Vulnerability is the new sexy. Like all next month, relationships, dropping gems.
Make sure you get to Joe, because Joe has a lot of great resources for you too. Check out his new show. And listen, guys, a part of being healthy is also your mental and your mind. That is a big part of it. So make sure that you go and follow Joe for that. And what do I have to say for you? You only can make the decision for yourself. But like I said, you must love yourself in order to find out the real truth of what's going to work for your body. Just because something works for someone else doesn't necessarily mean that it works for you. I know it was heavy all my life. Finally found something that worked for me, which was high protein, carbs at 75 a day, exercise every day. I'm up to walking and jogging up to 7 miles a day. And my world changed when I loved myself and faced the things that I needed to face in order to get healthy for myself. And now I could be healthy for my husband and my community as well. So please make sure that you don't fall for misinformation. Don't go for the okie doke. Go look for yourself. And as one of our queens says all the time, and she's not here today, Constance Carter, Google that shit so that you can go find the truth. And you can find me at www.laurakey.net. I have a lot of freebies there for you. But let me tell you something else that I've got for you with the Fly Nubian Money Club. Okay. If you forgot to sign up, go do it now, because you have a 14-page freebie from me that is going to help you get control of your finances. It's going to talk about all your money matters, and you can list what you bring in and what you spend. You might be a little surprised on how much you may be spending at that Starbucks, and you may need to pull back. So this guide will help you really sit down with this workbook and see what is going out and what is coming in and what you can change. Listen, guys, we have really had a great conversation, but this conversation is bigger than just one politician's comments. It's about our health, our trusted medicine, and the impact of misinformation on our community. Now, we know that Black people have faced medical racism, but we also have to make sure we're making decisions based on facts and not fears. So what do we do next? How do we hold public figures accountable while also demanding better health care for our people? Let's keep this conversation going, because honestly, our lives really do depend on it. So this is Friday, y'all. What you gonna do without us? You're gonna go catch up on any missed episodes on Spotify. So go over there and do that. But until then, we hope that you have a beautiful and blessed weekend. We'll be back Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be blessed. See ya. Bye. Peace out.